Shalom, shalom. This is going to be a quick little exhortation video, motivational video, encouraging video for the nation. First, I want to give all glory and honor and praise to the Most High by the way of his Son, who's an instrument of salvation for the nation, right? But this video is going to be titled Live or Die. You know, we're coming up on the beginning of sorrows. You know, this is not the middle. This is not the end. A lot of time in scripture, we'll see phrases or statements that say in those days or after those days. You know, we haven't even begun yet, you know. Well, we have just begun, you know what I'm saying? We're not even in the middle of it yet. Meaning we got a lot to see. Meaning there's a lot of troublesome times coming ahead of us. So this video is going to be live or die, you know what I'm saying? Because we got to be able to live or die. We got to be willing to live or die for the Most High. All right. So just jumping straight into it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, this is a video not to scare people, but a video to encourage our people and to put our people in the mindset of our forefathers and our foremothers before us. You know what I'm saying? So first we could start off with Daniel. Right? This is Daniel chapter 3. Daniel chapter 3 and verse 17. And it reads, if it be so, our God whom we serve is able to do. Okay, so I'm a Salakia. It's a bus coming. But all right, so Daniel 3 and verse 16. No, I'm gonna start at verse 17. Daniel 3 and verse 17. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O King. Right? So, you know, no matter what hour of temptation we're in, whether it's something as small as saying no to a injection, or whether it's something as big as, you know what I'm saying, getting taken to a FEMA camp, no matter the hour of temptation, right, of times coming ahead, we got to be like the three Hebrew boys in the book of Daniel. They knew they were set up to go to the fiery furnace for not bowing, right? For not bowing at the sound of the horn and the psaltery and all of that, right? They knew if we don't do this, it doesn't matter how much favor we have in this land, we're going to be persecuted. And as we're approaching times like this, and look, it doesn't matter your class, it doesn't matter your gender, it don't matter how old you are. Everybody's going to be susceptible to trouble. Everybody's going to be susceptible to temptation, right? Everybody will be broken down pretty much on the same playing field. So with that being said, we got to, you know what I'm saying, get our minds right and not rely on the stuff that we may have stocked up on, not rely on some of the information that we've learned about the outdoors and stuff like that. Yes, it's cool to train. Yes, it's cool to be ready for times of trouble, but we can't rely on stuff like that because, hey, the Most High gonna break everybody down to where pretty much everybody on the same playing field. And the only way you're gonna survive is if you have the Most High, right? And so that's why the three Hebrew boys said, guess what? Our God is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O King. So when your hour of temptation come, you got to be like the three Hebrew boys, our forefathers, right? Azariah, Mishael, and Hananiah. We got to be like them boys. And we got to say what? We got to say, you know what? The Most High going to deliver us out. I don't know how. I don't know when, you know, but he going to deliver us out. Right? So reading on, it says, but if not, be it known unto thee, O King, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up, right? Because they want to keep the commandments. It was said over and over again in Exodus and Leviticus and Deuteronomy and Numbers, do not serve or bow down to these graven images or idols. So they want to keep the commandments, man, because they know the only reason why they was, you know, the three Hebrew boys, they was kind of promoted high after captivity came. They was kind of promoted pretty high in the land of Babylon. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us, we have high status and good jobs and we live in comfortably, but don't let a gift destroy your heart. You got to be really willing to risk it all. A lot of us, we're not willing to risk what we have. We're not willing You know what I'm saying? And you know, the Most High will test you little by little. He'll send a homeless person your way, ask for a few bucks to see if you'll give the homeless person some money or some food. He'll have a friend say that they don't have a job and they need a place to stay, to see if you'll open up their house. Hey, he said, as much as you did it not unto these people, you did it not to me. So if you don't help your brother or your sister out, guess what? You're doing that to Christ, because we're all one body. If you do help your brother and sister out, guess what? You're doing that for Christ as well too. So don't let your situation blind you from the fact that you're still supposed to fear only one God. All right. And that's what they were saying. Look, it doesn't matter if we live or die. They said, but if not, meaning if he don't rescue us, guess what? We still not going to do what you say. All right. So moving on to 1 Maccabees 4:35. Right. This is 1 Maccabees chapter 4. First Maccabees 4. And 35. And I'm going to 1 Maccabees 4 and 35 because there was a reason why in the book of Esther it said many became Jews for fear of the Jews. It's a reason why when we was going into the land of Canaan, into the promised land, some of the Hivites came up to us and they were scared and they was trying to offer us offerings so that we wouldn't take them out. It was a reason why these other nations used to be afraid of us, but they're no longer afraid of us no more because we've forgotten our God, right? This is why these other nations were afraid of us, right? This is 1 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 35. Now when Lazias saw his army put to flight and the manliness of Judas's soldiers, what made Judas Maccabees, right, and his soldiers so manly? Let's read on. Now when Lazias saw his army put to flight and the manliness of Judas's soldiers, and how they were ready either to live or die valiantly, right? So what put the armies to flight? That the Israelites were willing to live or die valiantly, just like the 3 Hebrew boys. And we don't care about what happens in the flesh. We don't care about what might happen to us in battle, what might happen to us in war. We don't care about the things that's coming to tempt us, because we already got our mind made up. We know that this is just got to play out. We already know, hey, if need be, we'll die for this. You know, the Bible calls the Middle Eastern man, or the Arab man, or the Ishmaelites and the 12 princes, it says that they're wild men. Why did they get that title? Because they'll do anything for their country. They'll do anything for their God. We have to take up that same mentality, because that's how our people were once ruling over the earth. That's how we was ruling over. You know how we was ruling over the earth? We was coming up to fight against these other nations, because the Most High said, don't worry about it. I'll give them into your hand. You're going to defeat them. You're going to conquer them. You're going to spoil their land if you just do what I say. The only reason why now that we have a second thought, or we have doubt, or we don't trust what's written, is because we don't trust the Most High God. We don't take counsel of him first like David did. We don't do these things. So now guess what happens? Now we doubt ourselves. We doubt the power we have in our nation, right? And that's why we can't ever progress, because we don't use God. We rely on human flesh, right? We rely on people that have powerful speech. We rely on people that have military might. But that's not what had us conquering in the days of old, right? That's not what had us ready to live or die, right? So let's go to 2 Maccabees now. This is 2 Maccabees. 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 30. This is the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 30. And it reads, but when he was ready to die with stripes, right? Meaning what? Eleazar the priest was being tempted in the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 6, right? They was trying to get him to eat abominations in front of his people, so that his people would follow behind him. But Eleazar, being a mighty old priest, he said, hey, look, I don't care how old I am, I'm not doing it, right? Because if I do this was like a form of Hey man, they say Satan come immediately to take away the word, man. And ever since I started this live, it's been nothing but chaos going on. I swear this place was quiet. But anyway, back on top, right? In the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 6, right? What happened? Eleazar, the priest, he was getting old, and he had a reputation in his land, right? He's an Israelite man, and the people, the Greeks, right? The Greeks knew, hey, look, these Israelites, they worship their God. They don't do what the kings say. They don't get down with the rest of everybody in the world, right? Greece is in power right now, so they're like, guess what? No, we gotta butt break these Israelites. We gotta show them who's boss. So they took, a slave mentality approach to it, to conquer us, that Willie Lynch syndrome, right? And what they do, they took a man of great renown or great respect, and they said, we're gonna get him to do something that's gonna defile himself in front of the nation, so that when the nation sees him do it, they have no choice but to say, man, he was one of the greatest and he's doing it. Dang, he's one of the most strongest and he's doing it. I guess we got to do it, right? So just for context, I'm going to read verse 1. I believe it's in verse 1. 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God, right? So guess what happened? They sent people to our people to convert us to be Greeks. That's called Hellenization. Modern day today, you might see it in the Divine Nine, and they say NPHC, National Pan-Hellenic Council. Hellenic is nothing to be proud of. If you go to Google and type in Hellenize, right, guess what happened? They were calling us subjects, and they were saying that we would not obey the orders of the king. So what they would do was they would force us into Greekdom. They would force us into being Grecians. They would force us to give up our laws, our life, and our God, so we could take their gods and goddesses, so that we would make sacrifices to them, so we would live like Greeks, that we would shave our heads bald, we would do X, Y, and Z, right? So that's what was happening here. And they was like, we have to take a page out of the Lynch letter, and we have to butt break these brothers, butt break this nation in a sense, right? So that's what they was doing here in 2 Maccabees chapter 6 with the old man. They was trying to get him to eat pork. And the old man said, no, I'm not going to eat pork. And they had so much respect for the old man that they said, you know what, you don't have to eat pork. Just pretend like you're eating pork in front of your people, so we can get them Hellenized before you die, because you don't have that long to live anyway. You're an old man. And this is what he said, right? 2 Maccabees 6 and 30. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord that hath the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in my body by being beaten. But in soul am well content to suffer these things, because I fear him. So he said a lot just then. In his last words, he said a lot just then, right? Let's go through and break this down. Once again, 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and 30. But when he was ready to die with stripes, right? Who else died with stripes? Christ. Don't think that Christ was the only man that died with stripes in the Bible. There was plenty of people hung on trees, plenty of people, slain. That's why they're going to rule with Christ. It said they saw the heads of many that were beheaded for Christ, and they're going to rule with Christ. They're going to get that same reward Christ got. That's why Christ was calling a lot of us brother, because he knew that what was called of him was going to be called of us, right? His people was going to have to go through the same thing, and we go through the same thing here in 2022, right? But let's break this down. But he was ready to die with stripes. He groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord, right? That hath the holy knowledge, meaning it's been written aforetime, that whereas I might have been delivered from death. So he's saying what the 3 Hebrew boys said. Hey, look, whether we live or die, guess what? I'm not serving the king. Even though I was able to get rescued, guess what? I'm willing to die for this. I now endure sore pains in my body being beat, meaning this flesh is hurting right now. But what happened? But in the soul, I am well content to suffer these things, because I fear him. Hey, look, we don't fear what man can do to us. We don't fear what flesh can do, right? Let's go to Psalms. Let's pull that out in Psalms. I think it's 56. Psalms 56 and 4, right? What does that say? In God I will praise his word. In God I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do unto me. So he's saying, guess what? I fear the Most High. I don't fear what flesh can do to me. I don't fear what y'all Greeks can do to me. I don't fear King Antiochus. I don't fear none of this. I don't fear death. I don't feel these stripes. I don't fear none of that. Yeah, it might hurt, but guess what? I'm going back to when I was a baby. I didn't have no emotions, man. And whatever happened, happened. Because, you know, don't you know that Stephen was one of the disciples, right? And he was getting beat to death for the gospel, right? But it said the skies opened up. He gazed into the sky and saw Christ and the Father, right? The Most High and his Son opening their arms to him, embracing him. So what happened just then? When he was getting beat to death, when he was getting stoned, guess what happened? He had an out-of-body experience. He didn't feel that. So if you trust in the Most High, guess what? That pain of being beheaded, that pain of being whipped, guess what? You might not have to endure that. But even if you do have to endure that, you got to be like Eleazar. You got to be like the 3 Hebrew boys and say, guess what? I don't care. Because that's what made us so valiant. That's what made us put so many nations in fear. That's what made so many people want to be Jews, because they saw what we were willing to do for the Most High God, right? Let's go to verse 26. 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 26. For though for the present time I should be delivered from this punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. So in that day of temptation, in that hour of temptation, it's going to be a lot of people with incentives. It's going to be a lot of people saying, well, you're not really breaking your God's laws. You're just doing X, Y, Z. Guess what? Hey, we go to the extreme. Like these other nations do, we go to the extreme, man. We're going to go to the extreme and die if we have to for this cause. Because he said what? Hey, look, I should be delivered from the punishment of men. They're offering me a way out. Yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty. The Almighty knows the intent of your heart. The Most High, he knows why you do the things that you do. So you can dance around the laws if you want to in your hour of temptation and make excuses. It says a sinful man will not be reproved, but finds an excuse to do his own will, right? You could do these things if you want to, thinking that the Most High God's he's going to spare you. But no, we got to fear the Most High in everything we do. So even if it's questionable, you got to say, no, I'm willing to die for the Most High, right? In that hour of temptation, that hour of temptation is coming, man. World War III is on the rise. You know, people are paying attention to the finals, March Madness, the different drafts and different trade picks, different parties going on, trying to excel their jobs, X, Y, and Z, talking about pension plans and all different type of craziness. We might have 5 more years. We might have 10 more years. You don't know how much longer we have to live. You don't know how much longer we have here in America. You don't know how much long we have in Babylon. Anything can happen, right? They're not just putting these movies out on Netflix just for the hell of it, right? They're doing this because they're trying to get you to understand something. They're trying to program you into thinking, okay, guess what? It's just a movie. It's never going to happen. America the Great is never going to fall. But they said the same thing about Rome. Think about the people in Rome. Did you think that they think that their kingdom was coming to an end? What about Greece? What about Egypt? They didn't think their kingdom was coming to an end. What about Babylon? Everything has an end, man. And so some of our people are sitting back, chilling, just looking at the news casually like, yeah, y'all see what happened? We might go to war. Nah, we not. It's just a proxy war to get the economy back. Hey, we're too smart for our own good now. And we're not willing to die for God. So when judgment comes swiftly on your bed, guess what? You're going to be taken out in your sleep because you're not ready. Right? Let me go to verse 31. 2 Maccabees 6 and 31. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation. Right? So let's break that down. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example. Who else died, leaving his death as an example? Christ. You know what I'm saying? Christ was foreshadowed throughout this whole book, through the actions of men, through the actions of prophets, through testimonies. Because all of this stuff, imagine all of this stuff in the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, all of that summed up in one man. You know what I'm saying? That's how important that man is. That's why he's the way. That's why he's the door. Right? That's why he's the shepherd. But anyway, he says, thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of noble courage. So what did Paul say in Corinthians? He said, why is my liberty at judgment of another? Because he could have ate the beef or the lamb and had people think that he was eating pork. But why is his liberty? He's free not to sin. Why is his liberty at judgment of somebody else? And Corinthians told us what? Because we're not supposed to be thinking about ourselves. We're supposed to be thinking about how we affect others. If you know somebody is Israelite, you know, and they're really keen on don't drink Gatorade or Aquafina or Dasani, it got aborted babies' fetuses in it, don't be a butthole and drink it in front of them, right? If you know somebody, you know, is hesitant to eat meat, you know what I'm saying? Don't be eating burgers and lambs and stuff in front of them if their faith only has them at a certain point. You know what I'm saying? Why is your liberty at the judgment of another? It's basically what he's saying. Hey, look, think about your brother, think about your sister and their well-being, their state of mind. You know what I'm saying? So he died for an example of noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation. So guess what? Their Willie Lynch plan did not work because he was willing to die. You know why it says that in Deuteronomy, I believe 30 or 32, it talks about how we didn't trust in our rock. So he sent the rock of the people that we trusted to conquer us, meaning these other nations. These other nations came and conquered us, right? And how are they able to conquer us? Because we wasn't willing to die valiantly for our God no more. We had sinned. Our forefathers have sinned so much that we were slowly and gradually forgot who the Most High was. So when they came and took us from the shores of the western coast of Africa, the slave coast, when they came and took us, we was already so far away from the Most High to where we didn't know how to live or die valiantly in the name of the Lord, like the 3 Hebrew boys. We didn't know how to live or die valiantly like Judas Maccabees and his soldiers. We didn't know how to live or die valiantly like Eleazar. So when they tried to butt break us, when they tried this over again, and they just added a little pain here in the Americas, guess what? We changed our name. We gave up our God. We served their God. We gave in because we didn't have no men like him that were willing to die, right? We got to be willing to die in the days to come. All right. So let me go to 2 Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 16. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 16. Then looked he unto the king and said, Thou hast power over men, thou art corruptible, thou doest what thou wilt. Yet think not that our nation is forsaken of God. Right? So these other nations, they've drinking of wine of Babylon. And so they want the Israelites to drink of that same wine. They want us to do what they did. Right? You know, when you're at a party and you're the only one that's sober, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't even matter if you're the designated driver. Everybody wants you to take a shot. Everybody wants you to join in on the sin. Everybody wants you to join in on the fun. Right? And that's what these wicked kings want us to do. That's what these wicked kings want us to do in America. These presidents, these what do they call them? Prime ministers, all of that, right? They want us to do that simply because they're in sin. So they want us to be in sin. And we know the law wasn't given to them, right? But at the same time, they know that that's sin for us. So they want us to fall short. Because when you try to keep the law, people automatically think that you're better than everyone, right? Because you have morals, because you have standards, because you're not doing the evil thing. You know what I'm saying? So it says, then looked he unto the king and said, Thou hast power over men. Even though we know in the hour of temptation, people, they're going to have earthly power over us. Earthly power, not spiritual power, not overall power, but they're going to be able to say where we can eat, where we can't eat. They're going to be able to say what we can and can't have. They have power over men. Thou art corruptible, right? It's going to be the corruptible. It says the earth was given to the hands of the wicked. So it's going to be the corrupt men. It's not going to be the good men that have power over you in this earth, right? So that's the whole point of why they call it Jacob's trouble, right? Thou doest what thou wilt. We know Alexander Crowley had that famous quote, Thou doest what thou wilt. Where do you think he got it from? He got it from the same people that enslaved us in Greece, that made us Grecians, all right? Because it's the same ploy. Because who pushes Alexander, whatever his name is, quote? Jay-Z does. Jay-Z had a whole document talking about how he lived by that quote. You know what I'm saying? Do as thou wilt, X, Y, and Z, and how much that benefited his life. And Jay-Z's benefited, has influenced our nation, right? So we don't have Eleazar's no more. We have Jay-Z. We don't have Judith no more. We have Beyonce. We don't have Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah no more. We got the Migos. We got these people that's influencing us to think about ourselves only, have trust in ourselves only, right? And we don't think about the Most High God no more. So we're not willing to die or live valiantly anymore for the truth, right? So check this out. It says, then he looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men, thou art corruptible, thou doest what thou wilt, yet think not that our nation is forsaken of God. Meaning, hey, look, we're not doing this just because we have false hope, or because because it might happen. Guess what? We know that the Most High God is not forsaking us, right? We know that he's coming to our rescue. All right. And I had some other precepts, but I'm gonna skip to this because we're right here, and I just said that because we don't, just because we can't see, that does not mean that it's not true. We could feel the wind, right? We could feel pain from people's words, you know what I'm saying? So things that we can't see, we understand to be true. So I'm gonna read that one more time before I get to this this next passage. All right, this is Salaki. This is 2 Maccabees 7 and verse 16. Then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men, thou art corruptible, thou doest what thou wilt, yet think not that our nation is forsaken of God. Our nation is not forsaken of God, right? That's why we pray. You look through the testimonies, the prophets, anytime we made a decision, anytime we went to war, we went to the Most High first. And if not, we got played. If not, we died. And this is why our nation is not thriving now, because we don't take counsel of the Most High first. We take counsel of men. We take counsel of somebody of another nation to get their opinion, right? But if we go to the Most High first, guess what? All of our enemies, they'll be at our feet. They'll be the tail. We'll be the head. All right. So I'm going to leave y'all with this passage, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 20. Deuteronomy chapter 20 is pretty much a war cry. It's pretty much a promise. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty much it's how we get our confidence before we go to war. You know what I'm saying? And this is what was said to the children of Israel before they went into the promised land. So when this hour of temptation is coming, when we might have to be on the run, when we might have to be on the move, when we might have to be leaving the country maybe, or when war is in the country, or when you see something that's able to harm you, or you get scared, remember Deuteronomy chapter 20, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 20. It says, when thou goest out to battle against thine enemies and seest horses, chariots, and people more than thou, be not afraid of them, for the Lord thy God is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt, right? So horses and chariots, what would that be? That would be like your tanks. That would be like your all different type of military, your horses, chariots. When you see these people more than thou, it says, meaning what? Most of the nations in the Bible that we conquered, the Most High said that they were mightier than us, that there was more in number than us, that they were greater nations than us. He says that over and over again. So I know that we believe that we're the greatest, and guess what? We're not. There's other nations in this earth, this flesh, right, that have been set up to be better than us. All right. And the Most High made it that way so that we could take them down, so that they know it's not us that's doing it, but it's the Most High. But because we don't take counsel of the Most High, we forget this, that he'll bring them to us and make them bow down, that we'll get the spoils of these people. We're not willing to live or die valiantly because we have not seen the power of the Most High work behind our nation like it used to, because we don't take counsel of him. We take counsel from YouTube. We take counsel from books. We take counsel from people we don't even know, scientists we don't even know, right? It says, be not afraid of them, right? Like we read earlier in Psalms 56. Don't be afraid what flesh can do to you. This is how our people were able to be so powerful and scare people into being Jews. Over and over again, it didn't say people wanted to be Jews because we were sweet and kind and nice and they just got all the answers. No, it says that we scared people into being the Jews. It said they became Jews because of the fear of the Jews, over and over and over again. It didn't just say that in the book of Esther. It said that in Deuteronomy. It said it throughout the whole book. You know what I'm saying? People were afraid of us because of what the Most High God could do. They heard about what happened at the Red Sea. They heard about what happened in the wilderness. They heard about what happened when we took our land and the plains of Moab, and then crossed the Jordan, just like we crossed the Red Sea, and then did the same thing in the land of Canaan. They heard about these things and their hearts failed them. They lost their spirit. It said that their spirit turned to water, meaning they was weak because of what God was doing for us. It wasn't what we was doing for God. It's what God was doing for us. Right? I'm going to read verse 2. And it shall be when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people. Like, we don't even take a second to go to our elders so that they can pray for us. Like I said, we don't take counsel of the Most High. So this is why we always keep losing in our marches. We keep losing in our fight for police brutality. We keep losing the Black Panthers, the not effing around crew. This is why we keep losing, because we're just going to war without even, you know what I'm saying, praying to the Most High, man. And shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint. Let not your hearts faint. It's going to be a time where we think our hearts might faint. But we got to keep remembering, man, my heart can't faint from this earthly battle. My heart's going to faint when I see the sky crack open like a scroll. That's when my heart's going to faint and fail me, because I know that all of this I was willing to die for is true. Right? But this earthly battle, the Most High said, guess what? The Most High said, hey, look, do not faint. Do not fear. It looks scary, but it's not. Trust me, I'm going to bring you through that fire. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble. Neither be ye terrified because of them. So don't be terrified. You got to be willing to live or die, man. Just like the 3 Hebrew boys, just like Eleazar, just like Judas's soldiers. You got to be willing to live or die. So I'm going to title this, you know what I'm saying, Live or Die, because, hey, look, blessed are those that die in Christ, because they get to rise first. They get to see the kingdom first anyway. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's easier said than done, but keep this in your mind, man. Man, this earth is temporary. Pain is temporary. You know what I'm saying? Torture is temporary. These wicked men is temporary, but the kingdom is forever. So with that, I'm going to say shalom, 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 peace.